The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 22nd day of November, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Sherry Vanderpool and Leanna Lambert, who will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. It's Monday. We're going to do a check 1 2. Check 1 2. Sherry, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I just can't hear you in these. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately, yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, Jamal, it's Monday. You should be coming on here with love and care. You haven't seen me in a couple of days.
Hug the mic. Yes, Sherry, it's a pleasure to see you this bright and little humid. I think it's humid outside. I can't stop sweating, but yeah, down in South Florida. Is it chilly in Georgia?
Yes.
It is. Okay, and Bermuda seems, I guess, a bit chilly as well. So I guess they call that Thanksgiving week weather.
It's usually a little bit colder, but
you can have that. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we welcome Zach Moniz from Lindo's to discuss the cost of goods in Bermuda. The daily play is a Who Said It? So Sherry has a very easy one today. Her favorite color is purple. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, look, folks. We're going to get right to it. It's a hot conversation. It's been the topic in Bermuda this past weekend, and everyone's talking about it. Now, one of the things one of my friends in the U.S. actually asked is, why are Bermudians buying turkeys? They don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm like, you don't know the Bermudians.
You're for real.
They'll celebrate your holiday better than you, you know?
You tell damn Jamal.
Yeah, like talking about why are they buying turkeys? Like I'm like, Bermudians will celebrate the hell of a holiday better than you celebrate your
any day.
Yeah, like come on now, don't ask crazy questions. But basically, there was a lot of chitter about the cost of a turkey. And my sister Sherry, look what they're talking about. And my immediate response, because folks, if you've watched this show consistently, you would probably not be surprised at my stance on this. And we can go back to the letter that was written in the Royal Gazette that we have referenced many times this summer, that Zach Moniz from Lindo's, and I believe someone from Miles, they had put together. Also, Craig Simmons, the economist and lecturer at Bermuda College. We've had conversations with Tamra. We've had various conversations about the cost of living and how things work in Bermuda. So I'm a bit surprised that when we see these things, that people are surprised. But then there's the context of it. So someone who watches this show regularly, like a very, a consistent viewer, wrote to me, and I was actually shocked with their response. They said, I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. I said, well, what do you mean? They said, because they chose the most expensive turkey. And then people are comparing it with regular priced turkeys in the US. And so then I said, yeah, because if you pick up a butterball turkey, that would make more sense to compare if you were going to compare. But then even the comparisons are a bit off, because if, again, you've watched this show consistently, you will understand what goes into the pricing of goods once they hit the shelves in Bermuda. So we can't go from Craig Simmons referencing grocers in Bermuda as heroes, right? To now they're the big bad wolf and the enemy. So the question, Sherry, before you jump in, the question this morning, what's the solution to Bermuda's high cost of living? Because I can tell you this, it's not going to be getting angry about an organic turkey. That's not the solution.
But the thing, I think it's still just shocking. It kind of just like still takes you back. Like a bird costs that much money to eat, you know what I mean? And so I get everybody's shock value of it all. And especially for you and I who live outside of Bermuda, you know, even when I come home, I'm like, okay, let me get my mind right. Because, you know, one bag of groceries can cost me this much amount of money. The solution would be something of what we're doing right now is to educate everybody on what the process is.
Mhm.
And I think because if you know the process, it will help soften the blow. Not to say that it still won't be shocking. I have a family member that works in the purchasing part, and to hear sometimes like the cost of a container, the cost of a refrigerator container, how much it was before and how much it is now, all because of what the shift has been since the pandemic, that at the end of the day, the customer ends up having to eat the cost. I bought something wholesale one time, and it was like $60. I was like, really? And by the time I broke down the cost of what it was like, wow, they're not really making a whole lot of money off of this little snack chocolate bar that costs like $1.50 in the store. But if you're not kind of recognize what that looks like, then yeah, you're gonna pick up a tag and post it and say $170 for a bird. Sorry to say it like that, is a bit much.
Well, Sherry, this goes back to last week. Remember, we were talking about tourism, right? And I said, you know, the truth is Bermudians don't understand how tourism works. Just because we live in what many would say is a tourist destination doesn't mean we understand how it works. This same argument is in this conversation. Just because we're consumers doesn't mean we understand how the grocery industry or retail works, right? And so I do agree with you that it's going to take education. As you can see down bottom, I changed the question to what's the solution to Bermuda's high cost of goods in Bermuda? Wrong question, but what's the solution to the high cost of goods in Bermuda? What's the solution to the high cost of goods in Bermuda?
Right.
I
Say it, Jamal. Say it. You never held your tongue before. Say it.
well, no, I'm trying to think, like, for me, right? Because it's easy telling people, well, you don't have to purchase that one, purchase the other one. And everyone's different. I don't know people's different living situations, but I'm just going to share personally what I do, right? I love Trader Joe's and I love Whole Foods. I know my dollar's going to go a lot further at Trader Joe's than it would Whole Foods. So what I do is I would purchase like certain things that I can only get at Whole Foods, then I would get the other stuff maybe at Trader Joe's. For instance, I don't think anyone is forcing anyone to go to any place to purchase what they want. However, I think we could all agree that groceries are a necessity.
Yeah.
Like food is a necessity. This is why I'm grateful that we have people like Linda's who are willing to come in and have these conversations to educate us on how it works. The solution to Bermuda's high cost of living, I'm going to tell you, it's not what you think. It's not the grocery stores. There are so many more elements to this, folks. You know, Zach mentioned something when he was on before, what they call them pallets, the wooden pallets, right? That plays a role. You don't think of that thing in the cost of goods in Bermuda. You know, I'm not going to pick on the government today, folks. I'm not. Well,
you promise?
I'm not. But the real of this, right? The real of this. And I'm not saying that we're stupid people. I'm not saying we're stupid. I'm not saying we don't get anything. What I'm simply saying is that when governments have made us believe that businesses are the evil, greedy enemy for so long, we actually start to believe it. What I've tried to do in my life that's worked for me, and again, not saying everyone needs to do this or other people need to do this, but I've adapted my life based on cost. For instance, the price of gas is crazy in the US right now. It's crazy. Folks.
The thing is, the other part of it, though, Jamal, in all fairness, for you and I think it's what it lacks in Bermuda, for whatever the reason is we have choices. You know, we have way more choices. You talked about you can go either to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, right? I've got Kroger, Target, Walmart, all of these other places, including all these Publix, Trader Joe, to have a choice to go and do that. In Bermuda, we don't have many choices. And I think that is a hard part and a hard pill to swallow as well, because you have maybe 3 or 4 major grocery stores that you could only go to, and or even in your price point or in your budget is only maybe 1 or 2.
But Sherry, they do have choices. That like the same Bermuda does have choices. In Lindo's, you had a choice of a $170 Bell and Thing turkey or a $63 Butterball. Like there's $110 difference in that. So I think there are choices. It's just a matter of, at the end of the day, folks, if I couldn't afford a $170 turkey, which I can, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not for me. And I might say, you know what? Let me see what other options they have here.
A chicken.
I can tell you, someone purchased that $170 turkey.
Oh, yeah.
There are other people who will purchase it. Now, I'm going to use Miles Market. Perfect example. I have never complained about the prices in Miles. I'll go to Miles. I have been to Miles. But I probably should not have made sure that was the first grocery store my wife and her family went to in Bermuda. Because back in January, I think 2016, we were staying at Newstead and her parents' first time and some friends, and they went to Miles. And let's just be honest, New Jersey is not a cheap place.
Right.
But they still to this day talk about $16 grapes.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to pretty much let them know, but you went to Miles. You know, that Miles is, you know, it's the Whole Foods, I guess, when you're talking about pricing in Bermuda.
It's a boutique kind of grocery store. Yeah.
But I only use that example because we have to keep things in context. It's no different from wine. Some wines cost more than others. We're not going to take a bottle of wine in a liquor store and say, what? They're charging $400 for this bottle when there's a $10 bottle right there as well. So that's all I'm trying to say about the turkey, folks. I'm not defending. I don't need to defend Lindo's. I'm not a grocer. We can have that conversation with Zach when he comes in the studio. I'm simply trying to get us to be realistic, to understand our circumstances, and at the end of the day, educate ourselves more on how things work before we get so angry. Trust me, I checked my blood pressure this morning. It's going way down over the last 3 weeks. It has.
I still kind of hold true to the choices of the and when you talk about the various places that we are able to grocery shop out here, and to me it's still a big difference. We have coupons, we have a lot more sale items, we have 10 for whatever. And
you mentioned coupons. This is great culturally. I remember Dr. Kaiwan Brown and I created a coupon business about 10 years ago. Bermudians don't want, this was the response. I don't need coupons. I don't need, like, there was this arrogance about it. There was this elitism, like, I don't need coupons. I'm making enough money. That was the response, right?
I can hear that.
I've come across many people who frown on people in the States for using coupons. So I agree with you. As far as choices, and I don't want to preempt because Zach will probably touch on this. I owned a clothing store about 10 years ago in Bermuda, right?
Come on, you're just the businessman that I didn't know about.
When I owned this store, right? This is something that I think will probably be the biggest example to anyone who's never owned a business in Bermuda. when you own a store like Target or in the US, Kroger or Publix or Walmart, the more you purchase, if you buy promo items, the more you purchase, the cheaper that price is going to be, right?
Right.
Bermuda doesn't have the volume for local businesses to do the same. So what Walmart and Target and Publix and Whole Foods can purchase for 2 cents, that Bermuda store will probably have to purchase don't think the margin's off for $2. So 2 cents versus $2.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, again, the question to you, what's the solution to the high cost of goods in Bermuda? We've given you as much as we can. Sister Sherry, I don't disagree with you. No, seriously, I don't. We have advantages, but again, we have to take into consideration so many factors. The size of it. Are we ignoring people? We haven't shared a comment yet today, have we?
No, you're hijacking the whole situation.
Sherry, let's get through some comments because my goodness, you're taking up all the time. Nicole Walker says, my question is, why does $170 turkey even exist, organic or not? Leave that bird on the farm. LOL.
I know that's right.
Mandy Richardson, Ralph, check this conversation. Okay, sorry. that was just trying to get someone to tune in. Carlton Fleming and Renee Sherilyn Simmons, Sherry.
There's no solution. We have to choose the less expensive option or buy in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
Linda's turkeys are expensive because these turkeys were raised in a very humane way. The extent they go to care for a turkey from the time they hatch is top class. EK Trading have turkeys for small, $24, medium, and 27 large. Medium 27, large 38.60.
I don't even know what that is, but okay.
It's a wholesale
says,
place.
cost of items in Bermuda currently is higher than normal due to COVID and the logistical issues in the world with shipping. With that said, maybe go to the Caribbean instead of the US for certain items. Interesting, Nachika. That could be a solution. Reese Sam says, if the end price for a turkey is going to be $170, then don't bring it in. It's absolutely. But Reese Sam, you can't speak, like I can't speak for you. You can't speak for others.
Yeah.
If there's someone that's going to purchase that $170 turkey, then they're going to purchase it. If not, then Linda's loses or whatever company loses because someone's not going to buy it. But why are you going to tell them not to bring something in that someone's going to purchase? Obviously, people are purchasing them. Maybe it's that you don't purchase it if you don't want it.
Right. There is somebody out there to purchase it. Like, let's be real, but yeah, it wouldn't be my money that purchased that, and I am that person that loves a coupon. I utilized a whole lot yesterday.
Sherry. You think this brother don't go to BJ's for his gas? You think he doesn't use coupon? Look, folks, I have no shame. At the end of the day, I will never forget Dr. Kaiwan Brown and I with our coupon business, Cheapskate, and the way people turned their noses up to it. And to see 10 years later, some of the same people complaining about pricing, it's just interesting to me.
I even have them on a board on the way out the door so I wouldn't forget, Jamal. Like, I'm serious about my coupons and a sale.
Yeah.
Was in a line at Bath and Body Works yesterday. Candles, one day only.
Yeah. Shell White says, if only we could live without eating, because buying groceries eat, pardon the pun, through my family income. Well, she's saying they just don't have it. She said coupons, try it now. Bet everyone will be lining up, including me. Interesting. I'll have to hit up Dr. Kaiwan Brown, see if he wants to get back in. Maybe that ship has sailed. James Birch, for you, Sherry.
How do we give access to healthier food for more people here? And I think that's a valid question.
I like that. Well, we've had I forget the name, but we've definitely had people on to discuss growing your own food, and I forget the name. They've been on more than once. Alan Young at Jamal, I think you're minimizing the vast difference of choice between U.S. and Bermuda. Your stress level is a lot less, probably because there's a lot more choice where you live versus Birmingham. I think he missed the point.
Let me also.
I think he missed that, but go ahead.
And let me also add to this. The cost of living in the U.S., even between Georgia, Florida, and Bermuda, are vast different, right? The salaries reflect that as well. So when I come to America and say, this is how much I'm making a year, Bermudans are like, serious?
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
because I'm not paying
Thank
$6 for
thank you.
a half a gallon of milk. I may be paying $1. So the cost of living will match what
You
it
know,
is that is here in the United States versus what it is in Bermuda. So it's not minimizing the vast
it's
difference.
not minimal. Well, Sherry, let me jump in because thank you for saying that, folks. And this is real. I love you as an audience. But the Honorable Mark Bean said this. We walk around with our Louis Vuitton purses and bags, our six-figure paying jobs, right? Our exempt company titles, our business owner CEO titles, living large as a culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we complain about the price of living. We brag about how we live better than those in the south of us. We brag about how our salaries and our, we're making more than people in the US. My salary is nowhere near what I was making in Bermuda.
Listen.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near when I was living in Bermuda. So, to your point, it's not minimizing. The comparison is there. My salary reflects the economy I'm living in, as does maybe yours in Bermuda. I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to keep things in context. So, thank you, Sherry, for saying that.
Yeah, because whatever you make, Jamal, if you double it, then that's what it would be in Bermuda, correct? That's how
Correct.
my mind thinks. If
Correct.
I'm making half of what I make in Bermuda, I'm actually making the same amount because X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
We're not paying $3,000 in a mortgage for,
Correct.
a two-bedroom apartment. You're
Correct.
paying less than that for a mortgage because the value of the house is, you
Mm,
have to look at it that way. And people are like,
Yeah.
that's no money, Sharon. I'm like, but my
No, but
living.
trust me, Sherry, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously. Let's go through a few more comments. Leah's come in, and we definitely want to bring Zach in enough time to speak with the audience. Sean Smith says, reduce our dependence on oil and move towards electric vehicles, solar energy. Being a little more self-reliant with certain food we produce instead of importing may help reduce costs. Ebony Sousa says, grocery store are offering mostly identical products. Maybe they can all collaborate on those particular products to bring in the quantity that allows for lower cost. We'll ask Zach about that. Rachel Katora says, I saw someone purchase a $190 ham once. That was a huge reminder that my household budget isn't everyone else's household, but that's it right there, Rachel. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm not going to tell people not to purchase a $200 turkey if that's what they can afford. If I can't, I'm going with a cheaper butterball, cheaper in price, I mean. And the Chico Shot says, you should revamp that coupon business. It'll be a hit now. Charles H. Jefferson II says, I'm a coupon discount king. No shame in my game. Hey, look,
None.
folks, this is what we got to do sometimes. Let's go two more comments. Terry K and Angeline Sherry.
It took me living and working in the US to understand the difference in Bermuda and the US economies. Absolutely,
Mhm.
Terry. Yes, we have to realize it be educated about the back end of businesses, the costs, etc., before products reach the shelves. And sadly, really don't have a solution. Personally, I either take it or leave it, and
Mhm.
that is your choice in the whole situation. And if you hear sometimes, oh, I'm not going to go on 5% discount day or this, that, and the other. I've had people come out here, go shopping. I'm like, oh no, I'm not buying that. I'm going to wait till they got a sale next month. They're like,
Mhm.
serious? I'm like, yeah. You know?
Like him or not, Mark Bean told us this day would come. He
He
told us this
did.
day would happen. And, I'm not arrogant enough to say, if you can afford it, don't buy it or shut up. No, 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 no. There is an issue that needs to be discussed. But I think part of that issue is us, like tourism last week. Just because we live in a so-called tourism destination doesn't mean we have the answers to solve it. I
Listen,
am
Jamal,
not a grocer. I
you,
do not know how the ins and outs work, but I read. You know what I read right after this? What's it called? Market. I went online, website, markets thing. I just go on and read articles to understand things better.
hmm hmm
We've got to.
well, people were like, come on, Sherry, you can make a business out of this. Come bring some of this $12 turkeys from Kroger. I'm like, wow.
Mm. Lee, you got your turkey for
Good
the holiday
morning.
that people are shocked that Bermuda celebrates? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I do. But you know why? Because, like all of those who were in the comments saying that, they shop on discount day and use their coupons, etc., my job, thank goodness, gives us a few free turkeys and says, get your vouchers in early so you can get your free turkey. And that's for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So I make sure that I capitalize on those bit of savings, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hey, look, this is how we have to think, folks. This is how we gotta go about it. We have to be smart when spending. Again, folks, before Liana gets to the news, I had to stick up for us this weekend. I got people asking me what I said earlier. People asking, why are Bermudians buying turkeys? They don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And Liana, as she was saying that just now, I'm like, well, Lee, I might have to bring you out here, tell people, like, yo, let them know. We
Yeah.
celebrate other people's holidays better than them.
Of course, especially in Bermuda when we have US based companies that are here on
Yep.
the island. Like my mom, she is off every Thanksgiving. Doesn't have to work. She's got the day before or the day
Mhm.
after off as well. And I'm like, go you. Like,
And let's not talk
I'm not
about
mad
Black
at you.
Friday. Bermudians are
Uh-oh.
lined up on Black Friday, but go ahead, Lee.
Exactly.
Are they
Scandals,
doing that
crazy.
again this year? My goodness. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamel and Sherry, and happy Monday to everyone that's tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to this rainy day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. In today's top stories, a 30-year-old man was injured over the weekend following a shooting. Now, police have launched an investigation after reporting to a call of gunshots shortly before midnight on Saturday in the area of Jamaican Grill on Court Street in Pembroke. Now, police say initial investigations revealed that a firearm had been discharged in the area and that the scene was forensically processed. Not too long after, a 30-year-old man was transported to the hospital via ambulance for treatment of his injuries, which were not considered to be life threatening. He was treated then later and discharged. It is confirmed that the two incidents are connected. Now, anyone who was in the Court Street area at the time of the incident and drove through the area with a dash cam between 11:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. or anyone who may have any information about this incident is being urged to get in contact with police immediately. In other news, a couple of British legal consultants are said to be on island until next March in an effort to help strengthen and develop the island's family court system. Now, Social Development Minister Tanae Ferbert said that, quote unquote, experienced family court professionals include Cyrus Larizade, Queen's Counsel, and Anthony Douglas, who are here to help develop Bermuda's litigation guardian system and develop clear policy objectives to strengthen children's rights. The framework of Guardians, which was announced back in March 2020, is being strengthened in partnership with charities for children and families, as well as Alison Crockett, the deputy governor. Now, the consultants were said to be working with the Department of Child and Family Services, along with judges, magistrates, and others in the family courts. It's been said that the island's cannabis laws will not mirror those currently fitted with our mother jurisdiction, Britain, this according to Premier David Byrd. The Premier said that they had no intention of tailoring Bermuda's laws to license cannabis production to fit with the UK's conventions, which allow the drug for medicinal use only. He said that legislation for legal cannabis in Bermuda is set to go before the legislator in the current sessions of Parliament. He was speaking after his return from the Joint Ministerial Council in London between the UK government and elected heads of the overseas territories. And athletes and team managers are getting ready to head out to Cali, Colombia for the inaugural Junior Pan American Games, which starts on November 25th. Now, Team Bermuda was expanded to include Isabel Dutrenoit, in the 5,000 meters running, bringing the number of local representatives up to 12 in 8 sports. Delegation leaders Julia Hawley and Ashley Yearwood begin their travels this weekend ahead of the athletes who will be arriving approximately 2 days before their competition dates. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 74 and a low near 70 degrees. It will be a bright start, but turning cloudy later on with a few passing showers. Now, it might feel muggy at times today as our breeze veers southeast. This evening, we'll see mostly cloudy skies with a chance of 1 or 2 showers. The weather deteriorates as the week continues, with gusts to gale force are expected within showers, as well as any thunderstorms that may form during Tuesday. That's all for our daily hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. But before we go, we want you to stay tuned for details on your Cyber Monday online sales. Now, rumor has it savings will be as high as 60% on select brands in our online store only next Monday. As always, follow our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram at People's BDA for up-to-date promotion details. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
You know, Lee, Cyber Monday sounds much safer than Black Friday. I'm just saying.
Especially during a pandemic as well. Like
Black Fridays have gotten better over the years. They spread them out. No, it's not that.
yeah, it's not
rush
as bad.
stuff.
But honestly, I have to admit, I had never been away, but I think it was before 2019 for a Black Friday. To see that in action was life-changing.
Oh, and it's better now.
The
Yeah,
lines.
it's much better. I mean, my biggest concern was the cold. I lived a lot in the Northeast when I was watching this happen, and I remember being with young people who wanted to go, and I just never.
It can't be that serious to
No,
get
it
the
was
new
a hot
iPhone
trend.
or TV or what. It can't be that serious.
It definitely was for some people, but hey,
Yeah.
my
I
goodness.
just hope they weren't trying to get that $170 turkey and complaining about. Well, anyway, that's another story. Lee, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
All righty, folks. We're coming back with Zach Moniz from Lindo. So if you have any questions regarding the $170 turkey, the infamous turkey that everyone's been talking about, stick with us. Let your friends who were talking about the $170 turkey, let them know they can speak to the man himself, Zach Moniz, immediately following these messages.
This month, we're bringing back an old favorite distributed by John Barrett & Son Limited, a thirst-quenching European treat, Orangina, made from orange, lemon, mandarin, and grapefruit juices. Orangina brings us the flavor of the Mediterranean in a distinctive pear-shaped bottle. Orangina originated in France in the early 1930s and is now one of the world's favorites, a natural thirst quencher containing real fruit pulp. In fact, the makers of Orangina recommend we gently shake the pulp to enjoy the full fruity flavor. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Sherry Vanderpool, myself, Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. He is Zach Moniz from Lindo's. Zach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
We
Good
call
morning,
him
Sherry.
Morning, we call him the Turkey Man.
I've been called worse.
Well, I mean, gee, after this weekend, I mean, the infamous turkey, it's been something. But look, you've been backstage. You obviously are not out of the loop, so you know what people have been talking about on Bermuda social media channels. Just break it down. Take as much time as you need. Break it down to us why the now infamous $170 turkey is to be.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity, first of all, to come on because, social media is a difficult thing to respond to a lot of the time because it's just so vast and huge. So, Jamal, I really do appreciate this. That infamous turkey has come to be precisely because people have requested it. So we would not have those turkeys on our shelves if people did not ask for them first. And you're right, Bell & Evans is a premium brand. That is a brand that you would find, maybe not the turkeys, but if you go into any steakhouse or some of the top steakhouses in New York City and different places like that, Bell & Evans is quoted by name for the chicken dish that they'll offer. So that's the kind of supplier that Bell & Evans is. It really is sort of like the Lamborghini or the Rolex or the Wagyu beef of chicken and poultry and turkey. So fresh turkeys in and of themselves are very expensive, not just Bell & Evans. Bell & Evans is an organic brand, and it's the top end of that fresh turkey. But fresh turkeys in general are just expensive. And the only reason we only bring in a small amount of them, and it is precisely because certain people have requested them. They come every year. They say, look, we want to order our turkey. We want to do this. They'll probably order one for Thanksgiving and one for Christmas. That's not unusual either. So they will still be around even after the poor bird has been posted all over Facebook naked in the way that she was. But that's just the way that it is. People, I'm in the business of providing people what they want. And if I can't provide people what they want, then I'm not going to stay in business because then I'm not going to have any shoppers, right? So that's how the Bell & Evans turkey got to Bermuda and to our shelf, is because more people or multiple people requested that they wanted those organic turkeys for the season. So we have them. And of course, like you said, we have plenty of other options available. The butter balls and those kinds of things, which are not easy to come by these days, I might add, right? So we're safe. We've got all of our turkeys that we need for the next 2 holidays, and we should be fine, which is great news because it was touch and go for a little while, but we've got what we need. And look, that the Bell & Evans brand is just a super premium brand, and it's always going to be that expensive. So if you want a more detailed explanation, if you look at how you arrive at a retail price, right? So the direct costs associated with that item are going to get you to a landed cost. So that turkey costs whatever it costs in the US, say for lack of better, $6, right? By the time you apply the shipping and the duty and all the other direct expenses that go with that to get it here, so your customs clearance administration work, your inland freight, whatever it is. So you've got the initial base cost coming from the supplier, then you've got to tack on all your shipping charges, then you got to tag on your duty, then you got to tack on the administrative costs, then you got to tack on the trucking to and from the dock here to our facility, and then you come to a number that is your landed cost. So once you've got that landed cost, then you apply your margin or your markup. So now your markup or your margin has to cover all of the other expenses that you have in order to run that business. You've got labor, electricity, government fees, banking fees. You've got maintenance. It's a huge list of expenses that now have to be covered by that margin. And on top of that, at the end of that margin, you're hoping that a small percentage of that margin is going to be your profit. And that's where, look, if I'm already starting off at a $6 price, and then by the time we tack on the shipping and all those things, and I get to a landed cost of $7, $9 a pound is not really that bad of a price, right? So, of course, I can absolutely sympathize and empathize with people when they look at the price of that and say, who on earth is buying this? But there are people here that are actually buying that. So, it is what it, I hate that term. It is what it is, but it is. Like, I have people that requested that turkey, and that's why it's on the shelf. And it is not the only turkey we have. I appreciate not wanting to say, oh, well, just don't buy that one, buy another one. But if you go car shopping, you're not going to buy a Lamborghini if you can't afford it, right?
Right.
So, and same thing with a Rolex and all of these things. They exist because people do buy them. Now, I can't really get into the morality of those things existing. They do exist, and whether or not that's right or wrong, that's a bigger subject for somebody else to decide.
Correct.
But
you say something interesting, Zach. There was a demand for it, and so
absolutely.
The demand outweighed, what it needed to be in regards to the cost. Thank you for explaining the process, because that was going to be something that I asked next. Like, what was the process to arrive on the shelves? But what about how are we cutting costs? Is the self checkout a way of cutting costs? And is there going to be any other ways that you can cut?
Yeah. So you could say, okay, how could we have cut the cost of that turkey? We could have ordered lots more, right? But we just don't have the population and the demand to support that. So that's not going to do it. Self-checkouts, and I saw somebody mention solar panels and switching to electric cars and things like this. Look, we still got to burn fossil fuels to get there. And I'm all for, trying to burn cleaner and do things cleaner. And when you look at the self-checkouts, it really is a customer convenience angle for us. It's not going to be a huge savings. I need a couple of people to man that station extra than what I had before. And it's convenient for my customers to be able to roll up, take their stuff out, 1 or 2 items that they've got, and not have to sit in a line behind somebody who's got a 400 item basket, right? So yeah, how can we, this is the thing. So when I talked about, you've got the direct costs associated with those items, and then you have the indirect costs. Where a business makes money is in how they control those indirect costs. Those indirect costs do not immediately affect the price of an item. It's the direct costs of that item that affects the retail of that item. So say I bring in my turkeys, like I said, they cost $6, and I have to apply my shipping charges of $1.50 or whatever it is per turkey. And then you have to apply the tax, and then you have to apply the hauling from the dock to the store, and then you got to apply the administrative costs, and you get to your landed cost, right? Then I apply my markup. Okay, my markup is going to hopefully cover my labor, my maintenance, this, that. Say I've got a plumbing leak down in the bathroom where I got to call a plumber now. That just gets eaten up in that markup, right? Say I've got, I don't know, an equipment failure in refrigeration, and I got to buy a $10,000 compressor. Again, that markup is covering that. So how I control those indirect costs the best are going to determine what my profit is. So like the self-checkouts, those are, and labor in general, how I control my labor costs will determine what percentage of that markup is profit in the end. So it doesn't affect the price per se, right? That's not going to change the retail price of the item that we have on the shelf. That's only going to determine how successful we are as a business. So our markup is what it is, and in that markup, I am trying my best to control all of the other expenses that are not directly related to that item that I have on the shelf. So they are related, they're indirectly related, right? So I need somebody to pick that item in the warehouse. I need somebody to send it downstairs. I need somebody to put it on the shelf. That's all an indirect cost. I have electricity charges that I need to pay. I have government fees that I need to pay. I have so on and so on and so on.
Let me ask you this, Zach. And Jamal and I was just, and you was backstage, and you can hear some of that in regards to coupons and all of this kind of savings. How come Bermuda isn't in that kind of realm of clipping coupons rather than it being presented in like the savings forms? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So coupons in general, that is, like Jamal said, he had his own business doing coupons. That is another business. So again, that is another indirect cost. So if I were to start up a coupon business, it would be another indirect cost added to my business. So what we do in lieu of that is just offer our weekly specials. So pre-pandemic, I had over 1,000 items on sale every week, every month, and they would, you know, and it's not only things that I'm picking arbitrarily. We're always picking things that have something to do with the season. So macaroni around cup match and Christmas. You got your chow chow and your chutneys for Christmas. You've got hamburger for cup match. You've got steak for May 24th. You've got this and that, you know, seasonal sales. And pre-pandemic, you would get assistance from the vendors also. So they would give you a discount on those items, and then I would discount that further. So I would not apply my normal markup or margin to those items. I would apply a lesser discounted markup or margin to that 1,000 item range, which again is all stuff that I'm going to sell anyways. They're not picked because I'm trying to get rid of them, right? They're picked precisely because it is a very competitive market, even though you're right. There is nowhere near as much choice as you have in the US, but we fight for every cent between my competitors and us. So much so, look, you know, timing wise of when we release ads and who we release them to, so this person doesn't see them and maybe tells that person and who filters that, you know, things like that. Like, that's how competitive this business is in Bermuda. You've got 3 or 4 or 5 stores that are competing tooth and nail. But you know, you would essentially, pre-pandemic, you would essentially have gotten a double discount. Some of that has reduced a bit. So the vendors in this pandemic world, because of the supply chain shortages, which granted have come a little bit later here in the pandemic, but prior to that, with the crazy demand that happened in March 2020 and in April, you know, the manufacturers started to focus on the things that they were going to sell and that were the cheapest for them to produce and the quickest for them to produce, because they were just trying to keep the stuff on the shelves. So they were not able to offer the same discounts that they were in the past. Now, Lindo's, I can't speak for any of my competitors, but Lindo's, we took it upon ourselves to say, okay, even though we're not getting this discount from the vendors, and don't get me wrong, not everything was that way. We, you know, some vendors were able to continue on with certain discounts and whatnot. We decided that we were still going to offer as many specials as we could. So we still dropped that margin, dropped that markup down to a sales or specials markup, and we would have 600 to 1,000 items. So not over 1,000, but somewhere between 600 and 1,000 items on sale. So that is, you know, essentially it's a double discount because you're getting it from the vendor, and then you're also getting a discount from me on top of that. And then if you shop on the discount days, then you're getting another 5% off, right? So, and we're still at 3 discount days. You know, we recognized at Lindo's that we are in a time of, you know, it is great need, right? And we really have offered those discount days precisely because of where we are. We would not be offering them If
Well,
it wasn't.
you've got a fan, the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. If you wait until 5% off, you'll get a bigger savings. I'm just saying. But let's go through some comments, because a lot of people have a lot to say out here. Sam Cat Play says, reading and paying attention to detail is fundamental. People shoot themselves off before shopping for options and realizing the lower cost options are right there. Irritating, to say the least. Hannah Emerson says, and I'll just read it from the side since it's taking up the screen. She says, thank you for explaining indirect cost and why Bermuda retail markup is high. People don't seem to understand the cost of running a business. They just see the price of an idea compared to Amazon. They don't realize you have to cover staff, healthcare, pension, electric bills, rent, storage fees, on the web page maintenance, and banking fees, let alone, as you said, accidents, machinery breakdown, food, spoilage, etc. Cherie Dill has a question, though. She says, is it possible to collaborate with other stores and other small regions to take more advantage of wholesale prices? We'll still have to sort out shipping and sorting.
Yeah, I would love to answer that question. That is, so collaborating, we are still, even if you take all of the buying power that we have here amongst all the stores, and you go out and you try to secure the volume that you need to get a discounted price, we don't even come close. That's the reality, right? We are small and we are isolated. So the quantities that you need to be able to order are way beyond what our population can support. I would have stuff sitting, I would need multiple warehouses. And as you know, land is a premium in Bermuda, so you can't have all kinds of space to store things because it would take that long to sell through. In addition,
and then Zach, you'll be on social media for having things out of date.
Exactly, Sherry. You're absolutely right. Like, that is the risk, right?
Yes.
And that's the risk that we take in bringing in even $150 turkey.
Yeah,
I do get requests. So you bring in, okay, I got requests for 5. I bring in my 5, and I bring in 2 or 3 more. 2 or 3 more hit the shelf, and then I'm running the risk. If I don't sell it, I'm eating that cost.
Let's go back.
There was one other person that question had there. They said, collaborating with trying to go down to the Caribbean. Look, you want to know how we get stuff from the Caribbean now? It goes to London. And when I come over on British Airways, okay? And if it doesn't go to London, it goes to Air Canada. Goes to Toronto and then comes here. So because you have to ship it all the way from the Caribbean up to New Jersey to get it here on a boat, the shipping costs are astronomical. So the 2 or 3 West Indian vendors that we have on the island that do a great job with the Grace seasoning, well, not Grace, but the island spice seasonings, the Jamaican bread, the Jamaican cheese, and those kinds of things. That stuff's got to go all the way to London to get here. And if not London, it was pre-pandemic, it was London, and then British Airways put their freight charges up through the roof. And she had to find another place, so she started trying through Toronto, and now I believe she is shipping on a ship for some of the stuff. So with the bread, it'll be frozen, and it'll come in by container up to New Jersey and then down to us from the Caribbean. And yeah, that's the thing, right? So it sounds like it's close, and we should do that. Plus, not just that, but out of the Caribbean, I can't get oranges and I can't get mangoes and different things because of fruit fly. So we're barred from importing those things, like Florida. Like we're limited in where we can get stuff from, especially in the fresh produce.
Well, that leads to Sean Smith's question. He's asking, does it cost more or less to purchase food in Bermuda versus bring it in? Also, are there local food producers able to meet the demand and sustain it over the season?
Yeah, so I believe we're set up for the season just fine. We've been heavy inventory wise throughout the pandemic. I go back to February and March of 2020, and it just amazes me what my cousin Chris was able to think ahead. I don't even know if he thought really about what he was doing, but he started to order really heavy. And so we're inventory wise, we're heavier than we ever have been. And again, that's our risk, right? No one else is taking that risk but us. And like Sherry said, if I'm heavy inventory wise, if I don't sell it, that's on me, right? It's no one else is going to pay for it. What was the first question, or the first part of that question that Sean had?
Yes, he was asking, does it cost more or less to purchase food in Bermuda versus bring it in?
Does he mean produce food in Bermuda?
Sean, if you can clarify, just let us know what you mean by that.
Okay. I think I know what he means. So if you were to bypass a local vendor, in other words, and go direct to the manufacturer or to a jobber or something, right? So the manufacturers will not sell directly to retail. That's number one. So Procter & Gamble with detergents and whatnot will not sell directly to anybody in retail. They have their vendors, and you have to go through their vendor. You can go to it.
He said yes, the local farmer.
Okay, so local farmer wise, we purchase as much as we can locally all the time. Problem is, when you look at how the local farm operates, you put the seed in the ground all at the same time, and I'm sure Carlos and those guys are doing a great job, and we really do have to support our local farms, because I don't know what we would do without them. But if you think about it for a second, you plant one field. When that field comes to harvest, everything's ready basically at the same time, right? So all of a sudden you have this glut of broccoli, say. So you've got, it's great in the first part of the season, where you've got, it's really fresh, it's fantastic, and they can leave it on in the field for a certain amount of time before they have to cut it. But I've got now, I might sell, for fake numbers, but I might sell 5 cases of broccoli a week. And now I've got supply of 10 cases of broccoli a week. Well, I don't need 10, right? So I can only still sell the 5. So it builds up in the back. So you've got this extra stock, and we have to muddle our way through it. And the local farmers, what they'll do is they'll plant one field a little bit later, one field earlier, and so you've got this sort of steady supply. But again, it's never quite, and the government works with them, right? So you've got the government will put whatever we've got locally. If we've got plenty of supply, it goes on embargo, so I can't bring it in. I have to buy it locally. Right. So that'll be for that period of time when the farmer says, hey, look, government, I don't have enough. You guys need to take this off embargo and let those guys bring it in. Sometimes they're really good at predicting it. Other times they're a little bit off, and you'll notice, how come there's no broccoli this week? Oh, well, the local farmers finished up and they weren't able to tell us in time so that we could have it here for Monday. And other times they're like, oh, look, guys, we see this is coming. You can order it now, but you can only store it. You can't sell it until this certain date, right? So those are the kinds of logistical challenges that we face with the local produce. And again, look, we buy as much as we can because they are vital to us. And
the Bermuda economy as a whole, yeah.
Yeah, and not just that. When you who don't like a Bermuda tomato, even if it's ugly, right?
That we are out of time, but I just want to share this comment here. Tamara Richardson says Bermudian local businesses face insurmountable challenges, yet continue to provide the majority of our needs on this isolated rock in the middle of the Atlantic. Conversations like this go a long way to helping us all understand how our economy truly works or needs more work. And I'll wrap it up on that. I want to say thank you for actually taking the time last minute to come on and have this conversation and break it down. And my hope is that people understand that, the CEO of Walmart or Target, the general manager, they're not going to explain their cost or pricing to you. They just put it what it is. And that, so for that, Zach, honestly, we got to run, but we appreciate you. And please know the door is open whenever you need this platform going forward.
Thank you, guys.
No
Okay,
problem.
Sherry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
All righty. Thanks again to Zach Moniz. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, all the information that he shared, you know what to give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, but please also share the important, critical information that was shared during that conversation. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere because we're going to wrap it up with a daily play, some daily inspiration. So stick with us and make sure you watch this little promo that we have in air for you as well.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
Why did you feel the need to go public with this? Let's go there first.
It originally started out of frustration.
Are you a part of the PTA or PTSA? Because there were people that, when we discussed this on the Daily Hour, said, well, this would be something that parents or guardians would be involved with the PTA to ensure that this doesn't happen, or if it does, they're part of the conversation and so on.
You know, the whole thing about my son's grades is neither here nor there. If they really want to go there, my son was on the honor roll and the principal's list until we came back to Bermuda. And then we started to experience issues with education, and a lot of them were petty issues. The minister actually had made a very blanket statement. I have nothing against rules. I am not telling my son that rules are a bad thing and we're going to break all the rules.
All right. Welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. And a big, huge thank you to Zach for joining us this morning again. We saw the conversation this weekend throughout social media, and we extended the offer. Sherry, just real quickly before we do the daily play, any final comments in the most concise manner?
I just appreciate Zach for coming in. He definitely broke it down for me and gave me a better idea of the whole process, which can help you to understand the end result. I feel like, you know, we forget the process part. We just look at 170 and not the process. So I appreciate him for that.
I'll say this much, folks, that, you know, it's easy for us to say, oh, 170, it should be $70. Well, at the end of the day, probably Linda's more than most companies you see sponsoring and backing this and that in the community. They do have self-checkout, but I guarantee you, if they were to move like most of these big businesses out in the US, move towards self-checkout and have 20 empty registers, we'll have another issue. We need to get better at understanding how business work. At the end of the day, businesses are not the evil, greedy enemy. Sometimes those businesses are the very backbone of what's keeping your economy going. It's time for the daily play. Thanks again to Zach. And also, if you saw the promo just now, there won't be no live show on Thursday, so it'll be an exclusive conversation with Alyssa Haywood, mother of a Whitney Institute student who recently had some challenges regarding his hair in school. So time for the daily play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Let's go, Jamal. We're running out of time.
All right. It's a Who Said It. Quote, work doesn't come to me. I go out and look for it.
Work doesn't come to me.
I go out and look for it. This is, I gave you a hint early on in the show.
What was it? Because I was caught up in the minute.
I said your favorite color is purple.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Look at her, girl. Look at her. Boom, boom, boom. Sure, she got it. She got it. She got it. She got it. All right. Sherry, they need some daily inspiration on that one.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Oh, I love that. That's a good one.
That's
Quality of
Marcus
your thoughts.
Aurelius, a Roman emperor. Yes, and
That's
it
a
is
good
so
one.
true.
That is a good one, folks. We have to run. Thanks again to Zach. Thanks so much to you. Thanks again to our partners, Medical Wells, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, please do make it a great day. I know we are.
Yeah.
Peace.